On a bright but chilly morning, when the world looked golden and full of quiet possibilities, something happened that would flip a single father's life upside down. It began with a knock, sharp, unexpected, almost impatient, echoing through the shabby hallway of a worn-out roadside motel, a knock that would shatter the hopeless pattern of his days, a knock that felt like fate suddenly remembering his name. But before the door even opened, before he even realized what this moment was going to mean, he muttered words that would later haunt him. It must be another joke. And he had no idea that the man waiting on the other side, the smiling stranger, was about to change everything. If you believe people deserve second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Touch of Kindness to help inspire more hearts every day. The day had started like the hundreds before it. Riven Calder, a 34-year-old single father with tired eyes and a heart weathered by too many storms, stood behind the front desk of the old Sunridge Motel, scanning through worn-out reservation cards. His pale denim shirt was still damp from washing it by hand earlier that morning, and the scent of cheap detergent clung to him. The sun filtered through dusty blinds behind him, lighting the lobby in uneven stripes. His daughter, little Rowan, a bright-eyed 7-year-old with a messy ponytail and pink sneakers too big for her feet, sat on the curb outside the glass door doodling in a crumpled notebook while waiting for school. The motel was nearly empty now, just like every weekday after most highway travelers left. Their long-term guests, mostly struggling workers and a couple of elderly retirees, kept to themselves. The owner, a man who rarely visited, barely invested in repairs anymore, so Riven did what he could. Mopped floors, patched peeling wallpaper, changed sheets in rooms that had seen better decades, and smiled at customers even when exhaustion tugged at him. He had been working here for almost 2 years after losing his job at a metalworks factory during a massive layoff. His wife had walked out long before that, chasing a life where responsibilities didn't follow her, so it was just the two of them, Riven and Rowan. The knock that morning came right when he was trying to calculate if he'd have enough money to pay for Rowan's school art supplies. He already knew the answer, probably not. Life always seemed to tilt slightly out of his reach. When he opened the motel door, there stood a well-dressed delivery boy holding an envelope. "Someone sent this for you," he said it was urgent. The boy left quickly, leaving Riven staring at the sealed ivory paper like it was mislabeled, obviously meant for someone else. Inside was a printed message, "Reserved Deluxe Room 12, special guest arriving today, be prepared." But the signature line where the name should have been was blank, almost like the sender wanted it to be mysterious. Next to the printed text was a small handwritten note, "Hope you remember old promises." Riven blinked. Promises? To whom? The only people who ever stayed here regularly were truck drivers and tourists. Maybe it was a prank, just like the ones some teenagers pulled last year, booking fake rooms, making him wait and clean for nothing. A joke, he thought bitterly, nothing more. But 3 hours later, right when sunlight settled into a warm pale yellow against the motel's walls, a sleek black car slowed onto the gravel driveway. It looked painfully out of place in front of the years-faded motel sign. A tall man stepped out, wearing a crisp charcoal grey jacket, sunglasses, and a confident smile like he had walked straight out of a corporate magazine cover. And then he said those words that made Riven's heart trip in his chest, "Got a room for me?" The man removed his sunglasses, revealing deep, observant brown eyes that seemed to assess everything in half a second. "Room 12, right?" he asked casually, like he already knew the answer. Yes," Riven replied, confused. "Did you make the reservation? We didn't get a name." "I know," the stranger said with a grin. "I left it off intentionally." That grin was familiar somehow. So was the voice. A memory pulled at him like an old thread unraveling, slow at first, then fast. "Wait," Riven said slowly. "Do I know you?" "You should," the man laughed lightly, "unless the years made you forget your own childhood partner in detention." And suddenly it clicked. Kai Lorand, from Somerset High School, the one and only," he said dramatically, opening his arms. "And I'm here for a few days." Riven felt his throat tighten. Kai Lorand, the boy who sat beside him in every detention session after skipping classes to help their struggling families. The boy who once gave Riven his last sandwich when he didn't eat for a day. The boy who promised, "If I ever make something out of my life, I'll make sure you do too." That was their childhood joke, one Riven always thought time would bury. But Kai wasn't the same boy. He had grown into someone polished, successful, and intimidatingly calm, and his car alone cost more than the entire motel building. Rowan peeked through the door, curiously eyeing the stranger. Kai's expression softened as he saw her. "And who is this bright little star?" "My daughter, Rowan," Riven said, cheeks warming slightly. Kai bent down to her level, smiling. "Nice to meet you, Rowan. I'm an old friend of your dad's." Rowan shyly waved. For a second, Riven saw something flicker across Kai's face. Surprise, admiration, maybe sadness that he missed years of his friend's life. Then Kai straightened and clapped his hands. "Well, I'm starving. And I remember you used to make the best grilled sandwiches from vending machine cheese and bread," Kai teased. Riven chuckled. "I can try, but don't blame me if they're worse than in high school." As Riven prepared a makeshift sandwich in the tiny staff kitchen, Kai walked around the lobby like he was inspecting it, not judgmentally, but with genuine curiosity. "You work here full-time?" he asked. "Yep." "You run everything alone?" "Pretty much." "Where's the owner?" "Barely shows up." Kai hummed thoughtfully. "And business? Slow. What about your old job at the factory?" Riven stiffened. "Closed down 2 years ago." Kai didn't say anything for a long moment, but the silence wasn't empty. It was heavy, like he was piecing something together. Later, after settling into room 12, Kai insisted on taking Riven and Rowan out for lunch. They sat in a small daytime cafe nearby, sunlight warming their table. Rowan giggled as Kai made silly jokes, and for the first time in many months, Riven felt the tension in his shoulders melt. They talked about old times, catching up on everything they had missed. Kai revealed that he now ran a major tech design company, Lorand Innovations, a name Riven had heard on the news, but never connected with the kid who once glued pom-poms to the principal's chair during Spirit Week. "So you're a CEO now," Riven said, almost teasing but mostly in awe. "Yep," Kai replied with an easy shrug. "We grew fast, and I travel a lot, actually too much." "Why come here?" Riven asked. "This place is small, and you could stay anywhere." Kai leaned back, studying him. "Because I needed to find something that mattered, and maybe I wanted to keep an old promise too." Riven blinked, unsure how to respond. Over the next 2 days, Kai observed everything: how Riven cleaned rooms, fixed broken locks, helped customers, and took breaks only to check on Rowan's homework. Kai watched Riven's hands tremble slightly when he counted cash that barely covered bills. Watched how he hid worry behind small smiles. Watched how he lifted Rowan's spirits even when his own spirits sagged low. On the third morning, while sunlight painted the sky a pale gold, Kai approached the front desk with a strange seriousness. "Riven," he said, leaning on the counter, "I want you to work with me." Riven almost dropped the key he was holding. "What? With you? Doing what?" "At Lorand Innovations," Kai said simply. "You're smart. You always were. And more than that, you're responsible, hard-working, steady. I need someone I can trust with our new operations line. It's a management role." Riven's heartbeat thundered in his ears. "That kind of job? Him? I haven't worked in an office. I don't have the degree for that. I'm not..." Kai cut him off softly. "You're exactly the kind of person I want on my team. And I'm not offering this out of pity. I'm offering because you're capable. You were always capable." Riven swallowed hard. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Kai said gently. "Let me help you like you once helped me. Let me keep the promise we made." That evening, Riven sat outside the motel with Rowan on his lap, watching the orange sky melt into a soft late-afternoon glow. She leaned against him, humming quietly. When he asked her what she thought of him taking a new job, her eyes sparkled. "Will it make you smile more?" she asked. He laughed under his breath. "Maybe." "Then I want you to take it." Kai extended his stay another night. The next morning he brought a printed contract. Simple, clear, honest. The position paid more than anything Riven ever dreamed of earning. Enough to move somewhere decent. Enough to finally give Rowan the childhood she deserved. But before Riven signed, he asked one question. "Why me, Kai, after all these years?" Kai breathed in deeply, the sunlight reflecting off his eyes. "Because the people who loved us at our lowest